This morning, during an appearance on ABC, Lindsey Graham was hit with one of the most devastating and humiliating fact checks I have seen throughout this entire election cycle. And there's not a better person it could have happened to, because as this clip was played, Donald Trump's own words being used against Lindsey Graham, you can see him just crumble, just die inside, because he knows it is over for Donald Trump. And we are going to get into all of that. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It really goes a long way, and it means the world to me. Now, like I said, Lindsey Graham appearing on ABC this morning and being asked about the story of the week, the comments made by John Kelly and General Mark Milley about Donald Trump, comparing him to Hitler, calling him a fascist. And when Lindsey Graham was pressed on that, he pretty much just melted down. But before we get into Donald Trump's own words being used against Lindsey Graham, I think we need to start with the first interaction from the interview.
This extraordinary event this week, John Kelly, who of course
I heard that.
was his Secretary of Homeland Security, his Chief of Staff, longest serving Chief of Staff, saying that he's a textbook definition of a fascist, that he wants to be a dictator, and he said a lot more than that.
He has, and he lost his son in Iraq. General Kelly, I know him, I've had a good relationship with him, but he's undermining a concept that's been good for America, I think. Our generals have sort of been apolitical. He's entitled to his opinion. I just categorically reject it. 3 weeks before the election, you're calling basically Trump Hitler, a fascist, is not going to resonate. What happened to joy on the Democratic side? They went from joy to now Trump is Hitler. Well, that's desperation. As to General Kelly, I would say that the state of Israel, Donald Trump is the most popular politician from the West because he stood by the state of Israel. Hitler wanted to kill all the Jews. President Trump has been a friend of Israel unlike any other. So no wars on his watch. The border was secure. Inflation was down. Mortgage rates were below 3% when President Trump was president. Now they've over doubled. I think General Kelly's criticisms are not based on facts. I think it's emotional, it's sad, and it's not going to matter.
But, well, first of all, obviously, Kelly's not alone in saying that. We heard General Milley, who Donald Trump made the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, saying he's fascist to the core. And it's not, so let's put aside the word fascist for a second. Kelly also said that Donald Trump disparaged those American heroes who died for our country as losers.
So here's
and it wasn't, he's not saying he's Hitler, but that he repeatedly said Hitler did good things.
So here's what I would say to America.
I mean, did he make it up? I mean, I'm asking him. I mean, you know Kelly.
I mean, President Trump denied that he said that, but let's look at the record rather than the rhetoric. Nobody rebuilt the military stronger than Donald Trump, except maybe Ronald Reagan. Nobody, I've seen him. Listen, I've had a lot of interaction with him, so I categorically reject the idea that he has anything but admiration for those who serve and sacrifice. I have seen him interact with the military. So this idea he's hostile to those who serve is not borne out. When he was president, America was strong. The military had what they needed. We went after our enemies. People were afraid of America. Since Biden-Harris has been since they've been in charge, everything's gone to crap. It's all broken. We had a secure border. Now it's broken. We had no wars. Now the whole world's on fire. Mortgage rates have doubled. We're on the wrong track. With all due respect to these generals, America is ready to move differently, and Donald Trump is the best hope to put out the fires in the world, to end the war in Ukraine, to bring about peace in the Mideast, to restore a broken border and get the economy humming. He did it once. He can do it again. She had a chance. She failed.
But again, it's not just generals. I mean, it's Kelly, Chief of Staff, Mattis, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs, Jim Mattis, obviously another four-star, who was his, chosen to be the Secretary of Defense. This is not a minor position. And he said this of Donald Trump: his use of the presidency to destroy trust in our election and to poison our respect for fellow citizens has been enabled by pseudo-political leaders whose names will live in infamy as profiles in cowardice. Now, General Mattis, Secretary Mattis, is somebody you called a role model for the concept of duty, honor, and country. Can you really dismiss?
Now he's weighed in politically. He has every right to his opinion. But to General Mattis, I think you're rewriting history here because for some reason, I don't know what that reason is.
I find it pretty ridiculous that Lindsey Graham's counter to the point made by generals he respects, men who he was friends with, is to say that it's not joyful to say that Donald Trump was admiring. I find it pretty ridiculous that Lindsey Graham's counter to the point made by two men that he respects, two generals he called friends, them saying that Donald Trump admired Hitler, his response is, well, that's not joyful. It's not a joyful position to take to call that out, to warn of the threat that Donald Trump is because of his fascistic tendencies. No, it's not joyful, Lindsey, but it's not joyful to be running against Donald Trump. It's not joyful to combat fascism. It's scary. We're worried because he's dangerous, but it's work that needs to be done by people with spines. If you weren't so cowardly, maybe you would understand that. But as Lindsey tried to dodge these questions, the ABC host really wasn't having it. And so while Lindsey Graham tried to skate his way around this interview, that wasn't going to happen. The host played Donald Trump's own words for Lindsey in a takedown that was just so perfect.
Donald Trump.
That was before they weighed in and turned America upside down,
Donald Trump
using rhetoric that's dangerous and is off base. So they decided to do this. You're the ones that want to weigh in. Okay, if you want to call him Hitler,
they didn't call him Hitler.
Well,
what they did is they warned
they're trying to scare
of what
Americans that this man can't fix the problems we need fixed. I reject that. I was there too. I was around him. I don't think he's a fascist. I thought he was a very strong president at a time we needed a strong president. I think he will be a strong president to get this country back on track, to revive our economy, to secure our border, and put out fires. They're telling you they want 4 more years of Kamala Harris and 4 more years of the same policy. To these generals, you're trying to tell America that things are good now, they're terrible now. And if she's elected based on your advice, everything goes to hell at home and abroad. So reject their advice.
Now you have been very critical of the generals, 2 of them using the word fascist. Mitch McConnell and Secretary and Speaker Johnson have been very critical, saying this is inciting violence. How dare you call Donald Trump a fascist? Let me just play you a little bit about what Donald Trump has had to say about Kamala Harris.
The true divide in American politics today is between these far-left fascists, led by Harris and her group. We have a fascist person running who's incompetent. She's a Marxist, communist, fascist, socialist. She's not actually a socialist. She's gone past that. Somebody's got to explain this woman. This is a radical left Marxist, communist, fascist.
So why don't you ask me, do I think Kamala Harris is a fascist? No. Do I think she's a communist? No. I think she's the most liberal person to ever be nominated by a major party. I think she's ineffective. I think she's incompetent. She's had a chance to be the border czar and failed miserably. On her watch, she advised President Biden it was a good thing to get out of Afghanistan. She has been antagonistic to giving Ukraine and Israel the military weapons.
But we can acknowledge that when it comes to the insults, they come just as strong, maybe stronger.
But you're not.
Can we also remind everyone that it was J.D. Vance who said that Donald Trump was America's Hitler? That J.D. Vance knew that Donald Trump wanted to be a dictator, that J.D. Vance called out Donald Trump's fascistic tendencies, that he did that first. Do we forget that sometimes? And this is also just such a perfect takedown because you see Lindsey right away, he crumbles. Oh, well, I didn't say that about Kamala Harris, he says. Oh, well, I don't know if that's actually what Donald Trump means. Why do they always do that? We know what he means. He says it again and again. That wasn't one clip that they played. It was clip after clip after clip over a long period of time because this is how Donald Trump feels and this is how he acts. There's no denying it, and there's certainly no running away from it, Lindsey. And someone who was calling that out on the other side this morning, the right side of history, was Liz Cheney in this clip right here.
The Trump campaign, Donald Trump, they have no way to respond substantively to the truth, to the facts, that Vice President Harris has built a coalition that is unlike any other we have ever seen, frankly, certainly in modern American history, maybe in American history writ large. And that is a coalition that includes people from, the far left of the political spectrum to people on the far right of the political spectrum, including many people who used to work for Donald Trump. And the reason that we have all come together is not necessarily because we say we agree on every issue. We don't, certainly. But we understand fundamentally that the defense of the rule of law, the defense of our Constitution, those are the things that are at stake in this election. And Donald Trump doesn't have any way to explain this broad, again, unprecedented support that Vice President Harris is receiving. And I would also say I am absolutely confident, having spent time with Vice President Harris, having talked to her, she really does believe and understands how important it is for her to govern as a president who unites us, as a president who listens to different perspectives and points of view, as a president who's going to do what's right for this country. And, you know, I hope that that you guys play as much Donald Trump footage as you can over the course of the next 9 days or so, because the more the American people see him, the more they remember, you know, we cannot have a president who is unstable and depraved and cruel. And that's what Donald Trump proves himself to be every time he says things like that.
Kamala Harris is building a broad coalition because there is too much at stake in this election not to. Republicans like Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger, who actually have a spine, are standing up for democracy because they know putting country over party is the most important thing that you can do. They value democracy. They care about our Constitution. They are not willing to support the guy who says we should terminate it because he lost an election and can't get over it like a petulant child. Maybe Lindsey Graham could stand to learn a thing. Will he? Probably not. So we will continue to call him out every Sunday morning. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button. You can leave a like on this video. And if you stuck around to the end, you can drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.